A lot of people ask, how'd you get addicted to drugs? And I guess that's a bit of a complicated, or not that complicated question, just like everybody else. Slowly, then suddenly. I would play a lot of recreational sports. I broke 6 fingers on this hand on various occasions. The doctors would give opiates for pain relief for that. And I would take them, and it would be like pleasurable. I mean, that's why people get addicted to them. They're pleasurable. At first, it was just like I would treat it like anything else, like alcohol, really. Like, all right, it's a night out. Will take this. But I wouldn't necessarily go out. It'd be like, I get home from work, this is the way I'm going to relax. I'm going to take one of these pills. It's no different than drinking, really. No different than drinking. Everyone does it every night. So many people do it. But then it just gradually increases and increases and increases and increases. And then one specific moment happened, and I'll never forget this moment because it's just like frozen in my brain. And to be clear, I don't want to blame the doctor for this, because I mean, addiction's complicated. There's no blame, I don't think, really. My doctor was a nice guy, and he wasn't handing me out drugs like candy. He wasn't. But there was this one time where I broke my ribs. And if you've ever broken your ribs before, it's extremely painful. You can't laugh, you can't cough, you can't sneeze, you can't stand up, you can't shit, you can't lay down, you can't do anything. So I broke my ribs, and it's extremely painful. And this one time, the doctor, because broken ribs are so painful, it gives me a prescription drug, Percocet. And he's like, I can't call this prescription in. You have to go and take this to the pharmacy and blah, blah, blah. And it's very highly controlled. And he's like, and the one thing he said, and I'll never forget what he said, and again, I'm not blaming him. He said, you can take these during the day, like if you have pain, and you can still go to work. And that like just changed everything for me for some reason. Because previously I was just taking the drugs like everybody else, recreationally, like I said, at night. Like, I'd chill out, it's no different than a beer or two. But once he said that I can take it during work, like not a light bulb went on my head, but it's like, oh, I can take it during work and I can work fine. The doctor said so. And so then that gave me internal permission to start taking it during the day, which extends the problem. Obviously, as anyone who's addicted knows. And then, or people ask, or I always wonder too, it's like, when did it happen? When did you get addicted? And it's like, there is no specific day. There's not like March 3rd, boom, that was the day I was addicted. It's just like this long, gradual process. I mean, it's just like anything else. How do you get in shape? Go to the gym, long, gradual process, get muscles. How do you get addicted? Long, gradual process. You're addicted. I mean, things happen over time, and you don't really realize that. And next thing you know, it's, 5 years later, you're hooked on these things. You need these things, or else you get withdrawals. Then as you become more and more addicted to them, you have to seek them out through other ways. And I never used like a doctor. I never found like a doctor who was just like giving them to me, giving them to me, giving them to me. I went through like the drug culture, like, hey man, can I buy 30 of these from you? Can I buy 60 of these from you? Which wasn't cheap. It adds up. Next thing you know, that's when you're probably an addict, is when you're going to meet some shady guy to buy his fucking pain pills that he's not using for that month. That's probably one of the major signs that you have problems. I mean, people get addicted to things for various reasons. Like, I mean, like I've had an abusive childhood. Like, why the deeper psychological reasons of why people get addicted to things, sex, drugs, money, power, whatever it is. There's usually some deeper psychological reason there, but I'm not really gonna. I can't really. I don't try. I'm not trying not to dwell on that too much anymore. Like I did have a rough childhood when I was really young. Anyway, that's one thing that makes you more susceptible to it, and it makes you feel really good until it doesn't. Until you need more and more and more and more and more and more to get to that same high. Where that's like where it's unlike alcohol. Like you need more, your body becomes more adapted. I've noticed with people that drink, for whatever reason, they seem to drink less, and then they're like drunk right away, like an alcoholic type of person. But for like opiates and stuff like that, like you just need more and more and more and more to get the high, to be effective. And I can imagine make the pain go away if you're on that for a chronic health issue. And that's the danger inherent in it all. The other thing people want to know always is like, when did you know you actually had a problem? In the back of your head, I guess you always know you have a problem. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm eating shady guys, blah, blah, blah. But there were two specific instances that happened to me where I was like, all right, this cannot keep going on. I'm either going to end up dead or like bankrupt myself, likely both. Once I was buying some pills from somebody and he stuck a gun in my head just to rob me. The other time was I couldn't find any pills because they're not especially easy to find, and that's one of the things that people don't really realize is like you spend so much of your time searching for them, and it's just like every 5 days or whatever, however many days, like I'm searching for fucking pills, blah blah blah. So they're getting really expensive, and some girl that I know mentioned heroin, and I like almost considered doing that. And I was like, I'm not fucking doing heroin, man. That's a whole nother level. And like, I know where that goes, and like, I have to stop. So when I stopped, I went to, I didn't go to any meetings or anything. I pretty much raw dogged it. I went to a psychiatrist and I got put on Suboxone, and I was on Suboxone for about 18 months with the intention of getting off Suboxone. Like a lot of people can't handle anything, so they just are on Suboxone for the rest of their life. But when I got on, my intention was like, I'm using this to get unaddicted from drugs. That was my intention. And I was there for 18 months, I think it took me 18 months. And after that, so I got off using Suboxone. Thank God. Thank God for that stuff. That stuff has a big stigma still, I think, but it worked for me. And then for like 2 years, I pretty much didn't do anything while I was on Suboxone, getting clean. I was avoiding alcohol, pretty much avoiding people. I was just like living a very basic, normal, boring life. And then COVID hit. So then I was essentially clean. I got off of Suboxone gradually. Then COVID hit. And it sent the world into like another crazy tailspin where I was planning on like coming out of isolation or whatever. My 18 months of 18 or 2 years out of isolation of not really doing anything, going out and hanging out with people or playing softball. I quit softball. And then COVID hit, and it was just like another 2 years. But during that time, it wasn't very like it wasn't a great existence. Like you're just living your day-to-day life. I'm going to work. I'm a meaningless government job. I never really found an outlet. Like Netflix isn't a fucking outlet or anything like that. That's like boring. And like I cook, yeah, date girls or whatever, but it was never really fulfilling. And then maybe 2 years into COVID. So this is 2 years into COVID. I finally, and I don't even know why I did it. I still don't know why I did it. I was like, I'm gonna start going to the gym and lifting weights. And for and I just started going like 3 times a week. That was my goal. 3 times a week, I'm gonna go to the gym. I had no idea what I was doing. I would watch videos on YouTube to teach me what to do. But still, I still had no idea what I was doing. But I kept going, and that's the most important thing. I kept going. 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 And then, like 2 years later, like I realized, like it changed. Going to the gym changed everything. It changed. It changed the way my mind worked. That's what people don't really realize about going to the gym. I don't think, is they think it's all about like, oh, I'm here. It's all vanity. Like, look at my muscles, blah blah blah. But your mind is a muscle too. And doing hard things, which is what lifting weights is, changes your brain. It makes your brain stronger. And when I look back, when I spent like those 2 years, like of just lost, I wasn't addicted, but I was on Suboxone. If I would have started weightlifting then, if I would have started weightlifting then, man. But we can't go back in time. We learn our lessons as we get them, I guess. But it was one of the greatest discoveries of my life, actually. And for years, my whole life, I made fun of weightlifters. Oh, these guys. I mean, I still like to make fun of weightlifters too, but I used to always make fun of them, and people still do. And I don't know if that's because of where I grew up, this attitude towards weightlifters. But it changed my life, and it changed my mind. It saved my life. And that's why, like, I, whenever I'm on social media or whenever I tell somebody if they're having a mental health problem, if they're addicted or whatever, like, you have to start doing something, man. You have to find something outside yourself. And, like, I found the gym, and the gym was really easy to find. So I always say, go to the gym, just start lifting weights. You'll feel better. You'll feel better about yourself because your body looks better. You feel better about yourself because you did something difficult and accomplished it. You feel better because you do progressive overload. I lifted 10 weight. I lifted 10 pounds today. I lifted 15 pounds this week. I lifted 20 pounds this week, 30 pounds this week. That's like measurable progress. You're measuring progress in your life. So that's why I always recommend weightlifting to people with addiction issues. Or if they're just lost, because you find some kind of like brotherhood in the gym, and then you find that you can better yourself and you get visible results and mental results. And it's not that difficult to do. You just go there and lift heavy things for an hour, 3 times a week, especially at the beginning. But I guess that's kind of the point too. Like, sometimes if you want to make changes in your life, it requires a complete identity shift. And that's not something that's easily sold to you in a package or by a therapist or by anybody. Like, it's something you kind of have to figure out on your own. But it is there on the other side. If you do certain things differently, the way you view the world changes. And I mean, that's true about so many aspects of life. So when I moved to Thailand, like doing something like that was easy. And that's the other, not easy, it's still difficult, but for whatever reason, lifting weights made difficult decisions easier. Again, because your brain gets stronger. And I don't know, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a therapist, but that's my fucking lived experience. If any of this sounds familiar to you, I mean, follow along. I'm going to keep talking about stuff like this. It's not easy to talk about. It's not fun to talk about, but I feel like a lot of these things need to be talked about, and hopefully they help a lot of people. That's my ultimate goal. If I can help people navigate life after addiction, or life after a miserable fucking job, for 23 years where you're treated like shit. Like, I'm not trying to sell a program. I'm just the guy that got out, and I'm documenting how I did it. And hopefully that helps a lot of people. And if you relate to that, please like and subscribe, because I'm going to keep talking about it. Thanks.